Hold on. All right. That's better.
Well, welcome to American Songwriters Off the Record. I am Chris Parton, and here with me today, Mr. Dierks Bentley. Dierks, hello.
Chris, good to see you again.
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm great. Looking good there.
Yeah, you too.
Usually we dress alike, but we got the same boots.
Last time we did.
I do have those jeans, my light jeans like that in my bag. I need to put them on.
Yeah. You know? I purposely tried not to dress like you. I took a chance. So. Well, man, we're going to talk about the new album, Broken Branches, coming out June 13th, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thanks.
that. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Number one, this is album number 11, right?
Sure,
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you noticed this or not, 1/10 of a Willie Nelson. That's where you're at now.
Those guys cut a lot of records back then. You know, I was just talking to someone about Frank Sinatra. I was looking through some of his different years and stuff. You know, how many 4 records a year sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so I don't think we're ever going to compete with those guys. That said, I'm always still thankful to have an album out because I remember making my first one thinking, you know, streaming was just starting to happen back 2003, or you know, it was like,
oh yeah,
it was like, well, you know, albums are going to go away. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, like my whole dream has been to make an album. I'm sneaking one in, thank God. Now, obviously, those here we are 22 years later, and we're still making them, but it's definitely changed a little bit. But, you know, I think you used to make albums, obviously, it's your dream album, you make it for yourself, and you're hoping to see it everywhere out there because that's the only thing people can buy. And now you really make them just for yourself more than ever. You know, you're making this record for you and for your, you know, for your the guys working, the musicians and the producers, you're all making this thing together. It may see the light of day, it may not, you know, but at the end of the day, something you can really be proud of, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. How does it feel to still get, you know, the honor to do that? Because I remember 2010, you put out Up on the Ridge, that was your bluegrass album, and back then you were saying things like, I want to do this now while I got the chance, you know, because might not in the future, but here we are 15 years after that.
That's weird, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I remember that now. I kind of thought, you know, most people make a bluegrass record kind of at the end of their career, and at the time I thought maybe I was at the end of my career. I'd kind of reached the end of the line on doing that route of commercial country music touring and album making. I just kind of had to take a break. I kind of just wasn't working. So, you know, maybe I was selling it as a middle of career album, but at the time I thought maybe that was it, you know, and I think a lot of people thought it was it for me too. They're like, he's crazy to leave the format to go do this. But yeah, here we are, still going. I'm actually thinking of making another record. I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I'd love to make another bluegrass record for sure with John Randall and the guys and Gary Pachosa, and but we'll see when we get there. But yeah, it feels pretty great, you know. It's just one album at a time, one show at a time, one record at a time. Just staying focused where I am, staying present. It's not really until I do an interview that I you know, even think about what's happened in the past. I'm always just kind of focusing on. I don't have a big enough brain to focus on too many things, so I just kind of focus on where I'm at usually.
Sure, I understand. Well, what was the thought going into Broken Branches? I mean, I know country artists, they always like to let the music lead it, and maybe you don't have a whole plan in place in the beginning, but you must have had a thought of what you wanted this one to be like. Yeah,
well, I say it gets a little harder every time. You know, working out of Colorado was helpful because I kind of had a location and a mindset. You know, the mountain came from there, and Gravel and Gold was written out there. This one I had a hard time finding. You know, actually, I found a Tom Douglas song pretty early on. It's a great song called "It Finds You in a Song." I actually cut it. I didn't make this album, but that was my original kind of focus for the album, was about how songs, you know, I was just trying to find a lot of great outside songs and how they lead you somewhere, you know, mentally, emotionally. I was in the car today and heard a song by a band called Acoustic Unlimited on the Bluegrass Channel. It's a song called Jonas. I had to listen to it twice. It was just so good, and music can do that to you. It could just transport you. Not a super original thought, but that's kind of where we're going. And then I heard this song Broken Branches, and I was like, wow, that really resonates with me, because I feel like I'm in a little bit of, you know, I'm at a great spot in my career where I'm still looking forward. I'm still doing the biggest tours you can do, and I'm also able to kind of look back with some gratitude and perspective on how I got here, and you know, Nashville and what's going on. Just the idea of broken branches. You know, we're all broken branches. Everyone in this industry and any part of it moved here from Nashville. You know, my publicist at the time was just talking about how she submitted a photo of her and Clay Walker in a Country Weekly magazine. I mean, we're all just crazy about country music in some way, right? So like, we all did something our family hadn't done before, and here we are in Nashville. We're all like just kind of broken branches that fell off the family tree. I just love that idea. And I realized a lot of songs I'd either written or was enjoying kind of had this theme that comes from like leaving a small town or making that leap of faith. And the the journey to get there involves heartache and some beer and some whiskey and just it all kind of wrapped in that theme of being a broken branch. So it honestly gets hard every time to the first album you have your whole life to write. The second album for most artists is about the road. You're gonna find a lot of road songs in that second album, third album, maybe even two. And then from there, it's like, where do I go? Well, you kind of run into a little bit of I ran into a rut as a writer, and then my dad died, my son was born. Like, oh my gosh, here's an all new world to embrace and to write from. And so, and then Colorado, and then now just really been happy to be back in Tennessee, loving, good relationship with Tennessee right now, and just grateful for all the success I've had, and happy for the young folks that are coming up, and it all kind of came into this idea of being a family of broken branches.
Absolutely, that makes sense. I mean, I think listening down through it, a lot of the themes seem kind of community oriented and big picture. Yeah. Kind of like the idea that day to day things are messy and crazy, but then you step back and it's a beautiful thing, right? So is that part of
That's it, yeah. That's exactly this community of not to beat a dead horse, but the community of broken branches that come here and make their own little family tree. And the Stephen Wilson Jr. songs were really important to that, kind of shoring up that idea. When I got a chance to write them, actually, right in this room is where I wrote Cold Beer Can.
That's Cold Beer Can, right?
Yeah, Cold Beer. We wrote in this room, and we wrote Something Worth Fixing in this room. And both those songs, to be totally honest, I usually do try to tap. I love tapping into some like new artist energy. I did it with Hardy before he had had anything really going on, in COVID. Yeah. And I feel like Hardy then, and even now, he's got his finger on the pulse of what's current and cool and that kind of country music. And I loved writing with him. Same with Stephen Wilson Jr., just a huge fan of his. And so writing with him, I just feel like it's just one of the great things whether you're on tour with the summer Zach Top or in the band Lula, both young artists, new artists, or writing with someone like Stephen Wilson Jr., you get to kind of tap into that energy that you can't recreate when you're brand new. Right. Once you've lost that brand new, I always go back there and try to find that new feeling, but it's fun writing with someone that is literally like just right in that moment. So those songs really contributed a lot to the just the sense of community. Cold Beer Can, I almost wish it had a different title because that title kind of makes it sound like just kind of simple country song, but I find it to be much more meaningful than that, and about healing broken relationships. As Something Worth Fixing is in that same vein. So both those songs are really, really important to it. But just song by song and seeing if it kind of contributed to that theme. I mean, there's always one outlier, like on the Riser record that I wrote after my dad passed away and Knox was born. Drunk on a Plane was on that record, and I kept trying to figure out, how does this song does not fit the theme, and it drives me crazy. I wanted the song off. I was like, you gotta get that. I mean, I love the song, but it does not fit the theme. And then we're like, we gotta keep it on. I was like, well, maybe we just redo the guitar hook in the beginning because it sounds kind of funny. I want it to be serious. This album's a serious album, and luckily I kept it on there. And this album, She Hates Me, it's I could kind of try to spin it that it's like it really your community, and she broke his heart, and he's I don't know. It's a fun song. I have a history of kind of having the songs on albums, and you need those palate cleansers. You can't just have an album full of like heavy songs, No. You're gonna have some movement in the record, and that provides a nice one. And it's I wrote that song across the hallway over there. It has that. It's if it wasn't well written, then it'd be one thing. But it was written to the wall. Chase McGill and Ashley Gorley and Ross Copperman, and I don't know. It's well written. It's fun. And these days, you're putting songs out for so many different avenues. It's like fishing. We used to fish with one pole, and like hope you get a number one on country radio. Now it's like you're just crawling. You just got like poles everywhere. It's Spotify and Apple and and that just felt like a great place for country radio to have She Hates Me out there for driving around your car and listen to one of your presets. So it's been a good one for that.
Absolutely. And that one, I think your fans love the fun side of you. It's got a bit of a reverence to it. Yeah. And you've never been afraid to poke a little fun even at yourself in a video or something like that. Where does that come from? Is that just...
If I'm not poking fun of myself, someone in the band probably is. But I mean... we talked about this before, but going back to even What Was I Thinking, I didn't even want that to be the first single because I just kind of it's who I am. I don't know. Musically, I just love more traditional country idea songwriting and the format of a more traditional song. But I do love those songs in the live show. They're fun. I don't sing "She Hates Me" around the house, but I can't wait to sing it in front of a live crowd. It's just a fun song. I love seeing people smile. Love having fun on stage. Love laughing with the guys of the band. Love having that, expanding the box. When you go that much fun, then you go that much further on in the set list with the sad stuff, the more meaningful stuff. You're just stretching out the width of the show, which is really important to me. And obviously with the Hot Country Nights too, there's that element there that we do love good, fun moments in the show. And I hadn't had a song like that in a while. I'm trying to think the last kind of song in that vein I'd had out. It's been a while, so fun doing that. And then with Wes Edwards, who I've been making videos with for the last 10 years, just a really great treatment. And but we went all in on. I remember walking around the video shoot, I kept asking, who's paying for all this? Because it's like he really went all in on it. I mean, it was like an old school video budget, back when Nashville was printing money from CDs. They gave you a lot of money to do a 2-day shoot.
Right.
It's like, what's going on here? This is expensive. Who's paying for this?
No, it came out great.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the title track and getting to work with Riley and Riley Green and John Anderson. That's a combo that I wouldn't have saw coming.
Yeah, I didn't either.
How'd that come together?
I didn't see it coming either. I'm always just really trying to be conscious of not missing any opportunities to create a little magic. And I heard that track and loved the song, and I just immediately thought of Riley. I thought he's kind of a broken branch. I wanted someone to collaborate with. It'd be fun. And the collaborations are just become more and more common in Nashville, I feel like.
Sure.
I think it's an influence from pop music for sure, where every song on the radio is a collaboration, it seems like. And it makes sense. So, you're trying to build the track musically, and first verse might be stripped down, then here comes the kick drum, the second verse, and the logical conclude, to go to a second voice, wow, it really does help pop the song. So I asked him, and he came in and sang it while he was in the studio singing it. And I said, man, it'd be great to have a third voice on here. And the first person I thought of was John Anderson, which must have been really clear-headed that day, because it was a really good idea. And I don't get those very often. But he's the original black sheep of the family. I mean, he still is, even though he's a member of the Hall of Fame. He's such a broken branch. I mean, we're in the studio, and he's telling me his RV broke down. He drives to gigs, and he spent 3 days in a motel trying to get it fixed. I mean, the whole story is just like, you're a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and you're driving your RV around to go play gigs, and was that a hotel or was that a motel?
Right.
No, it's a motel. He's just the real deal. And so having 3 generations of broken branches, and again, all organic, right? It wasn't like, okay, here's a song, we're gonna get these people. It's just be in the studio and let the muse kind of direct you the right way, and it was great. And looking forward to making this video with them and spend a little more time together.
Yeah. Is that how you chose the songs too? That organic idea? Because there's 11 tracks, fitting since it's an 11th album too. You co-wrote 4, which is actually less than you normally would.
Yeah.
So how did you go about picking?
One thing that's different in this record is having Mary Hilliard, my manager, kind of forced to be the executive producer, because just finding songs is so hard. I mean, it's so hard. And everyone kind of knows, they know me, they know her, and they're going to send her songs, and she's going to be able to help me filter through it a little bit better. And so we really tried to find, in keeping with the theme, the broken branches of songs. What songs have songwriters written that they're not pitching, or nobody wants because it doesn't sound like a hit, or it's just a guitar vocal and it's not a very good demo. We want trying to look for those kind of left of center weird ones. I think the longer you do this as an artist, you got to find those songs. You got to write those songs. That's why I like writing with Steven Wilson. He's a weird dude. He'll be the first one to tell you that. I like weird. Weird's cool. Yeah. I don't want predictable. I want to know a weird guy. And I want those songs a little weird. They're just that maybe people have forgotten about. And songs like as long as I can remember, and Off the Map. I got that song. It's just a guitar vocal, and I was driving around in my car. Mary sent it to me, and I mean, it just made me tears in my eyes. It just hit me so hard, that feeling. Talking about technology and the world we live in, just finding moments to be off the map, off the grid, whether it is off the map or just sitting on your lawn chair, or you're sitting on a bar stool, just living life off the grid, off this matrix we're all tied into, really struck me. So just looking for songs that that hit me. I mean, and then making the hard choice, which is what Nashville does best as songwriters, editing. You know, whether you're editing when you're writing or when you're making an album, editing the ones that hurts to get rid of, but you're just trying to make a really tight, you know, collection of work, and it might mean losing a song or two. But I like the way that people do it. People put out double, triple albums, all that stuff. I don't have to me an album's like 11 songs, maybe 13, but it's just beyond that now. I'm older, I guess. Just my sense of an album is not that. And I will say that people that put out those double albums, they're all great songs. So maybe there's writing better songs than I am, or they're finding more songs. But for me, I mean, 11 songs that's an album. You know, one vinyl, flip it over, and make the hard choice to just cut songs off it and keep it tight.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good. Tell me a little bit about the sound you ended up with. The thing I find interesting is there's two producers, right? You got John Randall, who is amazing at that rootsy, you know, gravity sound. He brings a lot of gravity to even a track with nothing on it.
Yeah.
Then you got Ross Copperman, who's very much in the modern vein and great track guy and melody hooks and all that. Is there any clash in those guys working together?
There's really not. I mean, the great thing about working with like successful people is that they have so much confidence, and then neither one of them, they just don't care. I mean, I've flip-flopped this twice now. Once I started with Ross, you know, and then brought John Randall in, and then one time I started with John and brought Ross in. This last record, it was that way. And it's just like, hey, I'm needing something. It's just no different than working on, you're trying to build a car. And you're like, you know what, this guy really knows how to do engines. Like, you did a great job of the body, building the body. Like, this guy knows engines, or, you know, or you're more comfortable working on the engine with this guy. So it's the same thing, and there's no ego involved. You know, John will be the first guy to tell you, and he tells me, I just want to help you make a great record. You know, if it's going to cut his producer fees in half, you know, he just doesn't care. I just want to make a record. Ross Copperman, the happiest guy in Nashville, the most positive guy in Nashville, same thing. Whatever I can do to help you, I just want to make a great record with you. So that's the kind of people I like working with. And I didn't start off this dream team of collaborators. It started off, at this point I can't remember if I started off with Ross in this record or John, but I started with one guy. Yeah. And I brought someone else in. And then, so this record I started off with John, tracking, and then I brought Ross in, and then I brought Mary in as the executive producer because I just felt like she was just doing so much. I mean, she's helped me find the songs. We're really trying to lock in this kind of theme together, and she really resisted it, but I was like, you really need to be part of this process. It's not right because you're so involved, and I want you to be. We're going to create the story later on. You know, once we've made the record, might as well be creating together while we're in the studio, so make it more authentic. A lot of times people make a record, and it's like, oh, well, here's the music, let's listen to it and create a story for it, spin it to American Songwriter. This is what it's about. It's my most vulnerable record I've ever made. And it's like, what is that really? Is that just, I know good publicists and managers when I see it, they can spin, and I can spin a great story. I can turn any negative into a positive. It's probably my biggest strength, you know, when it comes to your show, find the weakest link and make that the best part of your set list. But I really, really want, you know, being authentic is really important. The older you get, the more you do this. So I wanted her in the very beginning, like, let's start crafting the story what this album is from the very beginning, when we're just listening to guitar vocals and finding the right songs to help make this story, and that feeds right into the album. You know, the packaging for the record, which, you know, the photographers you use, and the fonts on the cover of the vinyl and the CD, just all. I really like it when there's just like it's just a straight line from one to the other, and something you always chase. There's always gonna be a song that doesn't necessarily fit just right, or but I feel like this is about as close as we can get to having a really great, like, just like writing a book and having the chapters that lead to the next chapter, and, you know, opening and conclusion.
And no spin, right? Yeah.
I don't feel like I don't need to spin at this point. I'm not trying to spin anybody on anything. I'm only doing it the right way. I love what we do, and I think I found a while back that when you try to spin, certainly if you're trying to, like, you know, my favorite thing to do is play live music and live shows, and when you try to spin that, it just doesn't work. You have to make great albums, make the best albums you can make, and hope those, you know, that the fans find something there that that resonates with them enough that they want to come out and see you at the show. But you know, don't try to make albums that feed their jet fuel for the live show. It just doesn't work that way. But I've been really lucky, to have a great touring career and still be doing it at the level we're doing at, and I feel like I'm still making better albums than I made the album before, which is when that stops, I guess I'd stop doing it.
Yeah. No, that's the goal for sure. A couple more songs. Tell me about the Never You with Miranda Lambert.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful track.
Yeah.
You guys come together really well together. Where'd that come from?
Well, in the spirit of not spinning, to be honest, that song was sent to me from Ross, and I listened to it with my wife. I listened to it once, and I played it for my wife, Cassidy, and she goes, "Your voice sounds a little more country than usual on that." I go, "Well, this is only my second time hearing it." She's like, "You didn't write this?" I go, "No, I didn't write it, and I didn't sing it." But Ross had ran it through some filter that has my voice. You know, Ross has my voice with several albums we've made for 10 years now, so this is just the world we live in, which is interesting for American Songwriter and interesting for anyone out there. This is what's some stuff that's happening where they can run your voice on it. Because if I hear a song someone wrote to me, the first thing an artist is going to say is, "Man, I'd love to hear my voice on that. You think I can come over here and cut that real quick? Just your demo? Let me hear my voice in your demo." You know, and now they're able to kind of cut that piece out. Does it influence the song? Maybe. I cut a lot of songs on this record that I just heard a good piano vocal or a guitar vocal and nothing else, but it is nice to kind of hear your voice on a little bit. So that's how I first heard it, was me singing it to me without me ever even heard it before.
Really?
So hello 2025, weird world. Thanks Sam Altman. But I just love the song, and it was kind of funny for a while. So I'd play for people. Like, "What do you think of this song?" "Oh my gosh, it's great." "I didn't even sing it. This is what we're going to. I'm going to be on the road touring. Hey Ross, make me an album." And the album will be ready to go, and I'm sure there's stuff out there that's like that. And a lot of these songs, you do have to listen really carefully to see if it's a chat GPT lyric or not.
Right.
I mean, I can still see through it, but knowing the way they're like running stuff now to like humanizer apps where they can make it not so perfect,
Right.
It's pretty scary.
That is pretty intense, actually. I didn't know.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm still doing my liners for, "Hey, this is Dierks. You're listening to 92.3 Froggy FM," but those are probably going away too here pretty soon. But no, it's a great song. I mean, Ross pitched to me. Ross sent me. He's my producer, but he's also a great songwriter. He sends me stuff that I appreciate. So it doesn't hammer me, but a lot of times I gotta ask him for something like, "Hey, did you just write Shane McAnally yesterday? Hello? Like, send me what you guys wrote."
Yeah.
But he sent me that. I love the song right away. Again, thinking about, I was just telling somebody, I have a little post-it note in my truck that's like, just reminds me, am I missing a chance to make the moment I'm in more special? Like, hearing that song, I'm so guilty of like hearing songs and not like taking them all the way. Like, I had Alison Krauss on a song one time, but I didn't like use her enough on the track. I used it the way I thought was good, but not enough to get like a Grammy nomination. Way back in the day, like 2005, they're like, "Well, you have to have, it has to be one verse and a little bit of the chorus." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I wasn't making the record for Grammys. I was just making the record. But if I'd known that, I might have added a little bit to it. So that song, "Never You," I loved it, and I was like, "He has to be a great duet." Miranda, I've collaborated with so many amazing females, but and had a chance to work with a lot of them on their way up, and amazing women. I'd never done like a true collaboration with her. She and I and Jamie Johnston did something together for my bluegrass record, which I still think is Miranda's best vocal ever.
Yeah.
Gary Pachosa and John Randall got her on a song called "Bad Angel," and she's got that growl, that grit in her voice. It's just, I don't know what mic she's using or what. She just sounds so good in that track. But I wanted to get on a record again as a true duet, and we did this one, and she's living out in Scottsdale, out in Arizona at the time, and I just found a studio nearby where she could go help me get on this track, and she did it and really elevated it, and people seem to like the song a lot, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I didn't know all that, so thank you.
There's a lot of info there.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think it's relevant for songwriters.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting world out there that they're having to navigate, and I don't. These kids, they love it all. I mean, a lot of them do, I guess. Social media and the way it is now, and the way I did it was different than the way it was done 10 years before me. I love the way we did it. I feel lucky I got a chance to start writing songs with a shoebox tape recorder, press and play and record at the same time, and everyone had an acoustic guitar, and you work on it till lunch, and you go to Longhorns or wherever the steakhouse was, and you might work a little bit more later that day, and you come out the next day, work on it, and you wait till you got about 7 songs to go in the studio, and it was, I love that, but I also love working with Luke Dick, and I'll walk in, Luke will hear some vibes going, I'm like, God, it's so good, and it's so inspiring, it's so fun. Instead of pounding your head, you still end up pounding your head against the wall, but at least you're pounding your head against the wall with a great beat behind you. You've got some tracks playing as opposed to just like sitting there in silence for hours like we used to.
Right.
I used to write with Brett Beavers, and and we were, he really, you'll be across from each other on a table, and it's silence for 45 minutes, and you kind of wait for someone to break the mode. You kind of look up like, what do you got? You want to play? Okay, and kind of play each other. What do you got? And kind of see which one's better. Okay, and then it's back in like another 45 minutes, hour of silence. He told one time he was writing with another songwriter who wrote, let's see, TOLOP. Because he would keep talking. The guy wrote that at the top of his paper, and he's like, that means finally. He goes, what does that mean? He goes, think out loud on paper. Like basically just stop talking. You know. And that's what it used to be. It's just writing was just total silence for a lot of these guys, and now it's like grooves playing. This Ashley's over here with the cell phone writing lyrics down, and this thing's cranking. It can be really fun. I'm not sure what the hell I was talking about. Oh yeah, just for American Songwriter, just like it's just changed a lot. But I feel lucky to have been part of both the eras of pre and post those worlds like that.
Yeah. Well, on that note, the album closes on this song called "Don't Cry for Me," right? Mm-hmm. And it's this really beautiful song about gratitude and looking back over how lucky you've been, really, I guess. So tell me just why you wanted to include that. What did you want to leave the listener with?
Well, that song is a great segue because that leads right back into Jim Beaver's Brett's brother, who I've heard a lot of songs with. And sometimes you get tired of all this stuff, right? It's like you just want to sit at a kitchen table and write a song. And so I used to go to his house. I went to his house about 6 different times brought my acoustic guitar, and that's how we started. He and I wrote a song called How Am I Doing way back in 2003, and here we are, 22 years later, sitting in his kitchen, 2 acoustic guitars, and just writing songs, and he's kind of anti-track. He's really funny, but he likes the old school, and that song came up, and it's super personal about details of my life, and it's not a theme that's like super like unique. Don't cry for me when I'm gone. It's just a song of gratitude about your life, but it really taps back into like specific things I have gratitude for in my life, and I do like that kind of last track being a send-off for an album, and it just felt like a good one to kind of go out with, because you never know when your last one is.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and congratulations on the record.
Appreciate it.
Came out great for sure.
I appreciate all the time it goes into making the interview happen, so thank you.
Absolutely.